So you want to play Genji? Well, congratulations. The first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem and you're clearly a massive fucking weeb. However, before you turn into the next Otoya Yamaguchi, you might as well embrace your weebness through the magical escapism of Overwatch, a game pretty much dedicated to letting us live out the few fantasies we have that don't involve BDSM. Genji was once upon a time a ninja playboy that presumably spent his days paying Japanese schoolgirls to act like they're not enjoying being fucked by tentacles until his brother Hanzo told him to stop being a twat. Him and Hanzo battle out ninja style with Genji left to die until Mercy brings him back to life in cyborg form, which isn't really bringing him back to life, I suppose. After a while he finds inner peace, as all Asian people do, and now he wanders the land doing nothing, which is pretty much what he was doing before, only with less money and less hebophilia. As usual, none of this has any connection to the actual game, where Genji jumps around like a dickhead, occasionally being slightly more useful than Chocolate Anal Bead, but mostly just dying. So here are the basics on how to play Genji and not be fucking terrible. Shuriken is Genji's regular attack, and there honestly isn't all that much to it. It has a low rate of fire, but operates in a burst of 3, allowing you to ping an unaware target for half their health before you've actually done anything, which I suppose is a ninja's job. You can fire them all in a row or fanned out like House of Flying Daggers, but throwing them in a fan is straightly for people who suck at the game and have no accuracy, so I find myself using it very often to finish off that pesky Tracer who refuses to die for the billionth time. Part of Genji's high skill cap is the burst damage that comes out from actually hitting your shurikens. Since you can't spray and pray wildly like a Mongoloid or a Bastion player, you're rewarded for your accuracy with a big bouquet of damage that can wipe out pretty much any squishy you try to take on at any time. Don't be worried if you suck balls at Genji to begin with, because landing your shurikens consistently takes a fair amount of practice, and you'll see your success rise in direct correlation to your ability to use them for their intended murderous purpose. His passive consists of double jump and climb, which seem pretty useless at first glance, but in my experience trying to shoot a jumping Genji is about as easy as eating jelly off a trampoline alongside a retarded fat kid that won't stop bouncing, and usually ends up about the same way, sticky, covered in blood, and vehemently pissed off. That convoluted and totally useless analogy was basically saying that you should always be jumping. You know what, let's just shove that into an acronym. ABJ, that's easy enough for you to understand. If someone gets all up in your snatch, then you just jump around them. Your slow rate of fire and added vertical advantage means I'll miss a whole lot more than you will, and as long as you don't jump off the map or are fighting a half competent player, God for fucking bid, then you can't really go wrong with obnoxiously bouncing around the place like a drunk kangaroo. Other than that, his passive can be used to jump further and higher than everyone else, which seems obvious, but some people seem to be totally oblivious to the fact that this lets Genji thrust his mighty robot cock deep into the enemy team, a tactic commonly known as flanking. This allows Genji to dive into his comfort zone of skirmishing with low health enemies and getting resets on his Swift Strike for extra mobility. If you're one of those people that are currently saying what the fuck, Genji can reset his ability, then that means you've slotted comfortably into over half the populace of the game, because for some totally unknown reason, Blizzard decided to leave out vital information in their skill descriptions. Doesn't make any sense to me, but hey ho, I get to include it in the video and seem like I know what I'm talking about, so it works pretty well for everybody. See, if Genji gets a kill with Swift Strike, a move that dashes him forward and causes to bleed over time, then he can use it again. How magical is that? If any of you have played League of Legends, then you may be familiar with the phenomena I've named Reset Syndrome, where every trigger-happy motherfucker decides in their best interest to dive headfirst into a 1v5 because they think resets make you an unstoppable force of the gods. In truth, resets are more of a deficit on a hero because it encourages this kind of reprehensible behavior, like giving your dog a treat when it pisses on the rug. Maybe 1 in 100 will go well and you have a sick montage to share with all your quote-unquote friends on Reddit, but the other 99 times you should just use the reset to run away like the little pussy that you are, find a health pack, and flank all over again. Genji's mobility allows him to be anywhere on the map within a short distance of time, and if you don't utilize this, then you aren't exactly a very good ninja, so remember to use Swift Strike to finish and subsequently escape like a well-practiced rapist, and you should be just fine. Deflect is probably my favorite ability in the game, because you can make Bastion players kill themselves like you're force feeding them bleach, and that always gives me a marginally concerning erection. Basically, while this thing's up, you smack back everything that comes at you apart from Winston's electric thingy, so while you live out your weeb ninja fantasies, you can simultaneously live out your Star Wars Jedi fantasies, and that's what this is all about, really. The thing about Deflect is that anyone smart will close their mouths and stop chugging back that Clorox like it's Kool-Aid, but most people aren't very smart, and if you time it appropriately, then they'll be basically shooting themselves in the face. On the downside of this ability, you actually have to aim it to where you want the deflected stuff to go, and the cooldown is long as fucking hell, so picking your opportunities appropriately is pretty paramount. You can do cool things like peek a Hanzo or a Widowmaker and make them snipe themselves, or counter McCree's High Noon, which is fairly satisfying, but your best bet is just to stand in front of the enemy as they panic and unload everything they've got like a paranoid premature ejaculator in a porno movie. His ultimate Dragon Blade is pretty fucking straightforward. You pull out your sword and start doing fuck off damage to everyone within a 10-foot radius while keeping over your abilities. This is especially useful useful when combined with the reset on your Swift Strike, but it's pretty important to use as a way to save your own life instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity all game. Although you can take out the entire enemy team, you can also die easily while using it, so try to remember that it doesn't make you invincible, just a robot half-man with a more primitive weapon than he had before. Overall, Genji is a high skill cap flanker skirmisher with lots of damage and mobilities if we don't have enough of those already. He thrives off of getting all up in Widowmaker's fat ass and bullying the slow-moving motherfuckers while presumably insulting their equally fat mothers. Eventually, you'll realize that you don't have the motivation to ever actually get good at Genji and that he's from Nepal and not Japan. If you're one of those people that are currently saying, what the fuck, Genji can reset his ability, then that means you've slotted comfortably into overly half the include it in a video and seem like I know what I'm doing, so it works out pretty well for everybody. Did my door just go? Who's at the door? There are people here. Who's here? Who the fuck is inviting people into my house? I'm busy doing shit. It's a grill. It's a hot grill. I don't know if it's a hot grill, but it's a loud one. Holy fuck. Shut the hell up. Jesus, if she's gonna be here for a while, then I'm gonna be very not happy.